Steve Klinsky, CEO of New Mountain Capital. Welcome to SuperReturn International.
Thank you.
What are the hot topics here, and what are you hearing is at the front of people's minds at this conference at the moment?
It seems like the key thing people are trying to figure out is the market overheated? Are there still good values to get?
Is it an interesting place to be in terms of getting insights? Because it's a massive crowd here and quite a unique environment.
Well, I always enjoy the conference because there's so many people from so many GPs and LPs at one place that we see a lot of our investors here, and it's just a great way to see everybody at once.
You talked about GPs and LPs. Do you think that relationship's changing? We've heard a lot about that, how it's evolving. Is that something you've seen?
I think it is evolving, but I think in a very proper, healthy way, which is that the LPs are very sophisticated on their money, which they should be, getting better and better at due diligence on the firms, which they should be. So I think it's a healthy evolution.
So transparency there, if you like, and that's something that David Rubenstein touched on earlier as well.
Right.
And with things like social media, there's even more transparency in a public sense as well. Right. Is that something you would encourage and you like seeing happening?
Well, let's talk about both. The transparency to the LPs is obviously something we're very supportive of, and we try to give full information to our LPs. The transparency in social media is more of a question of just what reputation does business have generally and private equity have specifically. And I think it's been a particularly important issue ever since 2008 when Lehman Brothers crashed and the financial markets crashed. And so I am very sensitive. I think our industry should be sensitive to it. And I think, my own firm does a lot of business building. We try to get that message out, and other people should as well.
You indeed try to get that message out. You even have a sort of social dashboard that's available on. Why have you done that? And why is it so important to you?
In 2008, after Lehman crashed, and there was so much anger against business and Wall Street and finance, I decided for my own firm, let's just gather some really common sense statistics and publish them about how our companies perform under our ownership. And we just update it every year. So as of the last report, we've added or created over 19,700 jobs at our companies, net of any job losses. They pay much more than the national average income because they're high growth companies. We spent $2.7 billion in R&D and software and capital expenditure. So, we think it's very positive just because we're building businesses, and it's important that people, I want my own kids to know it, and I think it's important that our industry lets regulators know that.
Do you think you're unusual, though, prioritizing that?
I don't know. I mean, it's just something that seemed very important to me, and just as a citizen and a person, and I think a lot of other people in private equity care about it too. I don't know who's done the social dashboard, but I think people want to have a meaningful life and a meaningful career as well as make good returns.
So you touched on some of the companies that you look to help build. What are your sort of expectations of places that will be good to invest, and what are your sort of outlook for the next 12 months, if you like?
Yeah, we continue to look for sectors that have secular growth drivers for many years in front of them, independent of the macro economy. So some of the recent companies we bought, and we still like these names, we've been very strong in specialty distribution, where you have the key position between many sellers and many buyers. We bought a company that's the leader in compliance for private equity funds and hedge funds, because there's lots of things to comply with. We've bought technology-enabled business services that lower costs for clients. So there's a whole set of defensive growth themes that we continue to like.
And you talked about cybersecurity and geopolitics being very key issues and challenging things at the moment too.
Well, we're very aware of the trends in the world, and so, for example, we own one of the leading cybersecurity consulting companies, which we've owned for a number of years. We own federal services companies that are protecting against these geopolitical threats. But so we're just trying to figure out where the world's going and have a positive role in reacting to it.
Those are some of the sort of challenges. What are you optimistic about in the next 12 months?
I'm generally optimistic about private equity as a class, and my own firm specifically, because we have this great luxury of having been given a fund of money, and people just say do something good with it. And so we've built now a team of, there's about 100 people work at my firm, a whole mix of operating people and financial people, and we get to own control of businesses and build them, and it's a fascinating thing to do, and it's a skills-based business, and we think we can help keep transforming companies upward.
Steve, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.